Hi, Team 4. So I'm sitting here with Jill Smiley in my kitchen, and we have a very interesting problem with your recommendation, because we opened it up, and Jill, this is what Jill said. I'll let her say it herself.
I love it. Thank you.
She loves it. We have no comments. But which isn't supposed to be the goal. So Jill, why don't you? The goal is to give you some developmental help here. So Jill, can you talk about what you like about it?
Sure. My marketing team and I met a couple of weeks ago to talk about new strategies, et cetera, and we're actually in the process of developing a date night direct mail that we're going to address in terms of downtown outreach, trying to get that sort of young, upwardly mobile. And I didn't even occur to us to look at online. I actually saw this morning and went to my colleagues and said, well, we can do this, and we can probably do it now. I mean, certainly there's some development in terms of what the package looks like. Does it first date at the symphony? Maybe not so much, but is there a contest? What are the how do we get the dating sites interested in it, right? What's in it for them to help promote us, type thing. So a little bit more development in terms of the execution of it, but it's a ready-to-go idea that we can take and expand. And wouldn't it be interesting if we could do this? Are there other symphonies doing this? What does that look like? Because it's something that maybe we could package and promote in terms of industry conferences and things like that if we can get some success. So I think it not only works for that demographic, but it works for that older demographic as well. And so maybe there's a sound check promotion, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just straight ticketing, or have a restaurant partner, or wine coupons or things like that. But what's in it for the dating site? Why would they go with us? So there's a few little things, but I like it.
All right. Well, there you go, team. So very positive, very executable. Jill would love to see more development. Maybe you can think about that in your paper. But in general, we have no comments. All right. So thank you, team. Any less?
No, I think it's great. Thank you.
She's already talked to her colleagues about it. I think that says it all. All right. Hello, Team 4. So I do not think I have ever seen such a positive response from someone who just says, "Yep, we're gonna do this tomorrow. We're gonna go forward and launch the idea immediately." So great work. And I want to talk to you about your process and what happened. So, because of course the goal of this next paper is to figure out precisely what went on in your process so that you can replicate successes and mitigate against things that perhaps didn't go as well. Just because you came to a good outcome, which is fantastic, and I don't want to understate that, does not mean there's things you might not want to work on for future in terms of what you would want your creative process to look like. So let's see what learning we can extract. What I find most interesting about this team is that it seems like in the first week and a half, that converging was a struggle for you. And that came out in your first post in week 3, where I asked the question, where it seemed to be very, very diffuse. I have it on my other computer, where it was, how might you increase patrons under the age of 35? So that seemed to not be making any decisions. When I look at your process, what I notice is really thorough, highly divergent work. So in a way, probably, I would guess, although I want to read about it in your paper, part of the reason you struggled to converge was because you really diverged, which is fantastic. But of course, it then sets up a greater challenge of how do you narrow all this. I find it really interesting that you converged on the idea that Vali had brought up in the webinar. And is this because, I know that I repeated her idea because it was so easy to grab onto. So you, in terms of clarifying the challenge, you converged on the social media idea, which was brought up by one of your group members from the start. What does this mean in terms of creative process? Does it mean that actually, the first ideas, the intuitive ones, are the ones to go with? What is the role then of divergence? The fact that you came to such a good result, the fact that you did explore all these options in terms of how to frame the problem, even though you came back to an original one, do you think that all that divergence ultimately was useful, that you would not have come to the same solution had you not diverged as thoroughly as you did? So what I want here, and everyone, each of you will probably have a different perspective, is your analysis of the creative process and how did it lead you? How did it help lead you or not to where you are, where you landed? So incredible divergence, incredible assessment of the situation. Really, one of the groups that looked at as many possible options. So then, how did you at the end just say, how did you end up coming to that social media focus after posting in week 3 and me giving you feedback to now converge even more? What happened? What was the creative process there? What was the role of all the divergence that you did? In terms of, so then it seems like once you got there to how might they use social media, and I can't find it I can't find, by looking at your process document, I can't find how you got there. But it seems like once you got there, things seem to unfold in a fairly orderly way. I don't know if that's how it felt on the inside. I'll be curious, did this, so here you tried this, and again, you were open to really exploring ideas. Did this play a role? Clearly you didn't choose an idea that literally had an animal in it, but did the sort of opening yourself to considering new ideas, like doing this, did it play a role in how you then thought about in solutions that you might consider? So then you came up with partner with online dating sites. So where did that idea come from? I'd be curious. So that moment of insight where it was scoped so that Jill can implement it immediately. Like if you think about the criteria for creativity, that it is novel and useful. So that is both novel and useful. Jill, who has been immersed in the problem for almost 2 years now, she had not thought of that. So it was novel, but it's also useful. She could use it immediately. How did that happen? Because that's what you want to replicate for future, right? What went on? What went right in this team? Okay, so your PPCO looks really thorough and good. And then you can see I wrote, I went through your criteria. They look like you did a good job of assessing, in that you did a good job of understanding what Jill and I, because you added novelty, is looking for. All right, retention, affordable brand, demographic. Okay, good work, team. So what I'm expecting in the final paper is, so your work will really be more in the part of the paper that analyzes your process, because I really would like you to extract the learning from this. And in terms of the part of the paper where you are now building on feedback to revise your recommendation, I would expect that there will be further development, but based on Jill's feedback, it seems like you're on the right track. You have the option of going back and writing about another solution, but you definitely would not have to. All right, the only other thing is that if you would like me to pass on, Jill has asked for any revised recommendations. So if you give me permission to pass on your revised recommendation to Jill, put on your paper, I give permission for you to pass on this recommendation to Jill, but feel no obligation to do so. Your primary responsibility is to your learning. All right, thank you, team.